even in our industry, which people don't realize, there are a lot of people that are not in it for the right reasons. And it's hard. And especially when you come into a community like this, where you're like, oh, I finally found my people. And then you realize that even in this, there's kind of garbage people. It does also still turn you off a little bit to it. So I struggle. I go back and forth with wanting to be full solitary and then wanting to be someone who leans more into the community. I always say that if people don't feel like they're being listened to, what do? They get louder. And so for me, when I've tried to be rebellious or independent and I was stifled, I would just get louder because I didn't know how to do it tactfully. I didn't know how to take that rebellion and like channel it like the right way with like the right words and the right attitude. And for a very long time growing up, it came out as angry. It was anger, really, is a lot of what. But I live in between so many different things, so many different realms. Like, I don't even just talk to like dead people. Like, I talk to the gods and I talk to angels. Like, I've had a full-on conversation with like Mary and whatever. So like, I even move between religions. I move in between my own like culture genetically and then my culture that I was raised in. The word chaos, sometimes people find that not off-putting, but it just feels like there's a lack of order. Or even with like chaos magic, which is one of, I think, the practices that requires the most research, like one of the ones that requires like the most actual learning and like book work and stuff. A lot of people, because there's the word chaos attached to it, feel like you've done no work. It's just like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And it's like, that's kind of the opposite of what it is. You shouldn't call yourself a half-ass witch because you shouldn't be like half-assing your craft. And I'm like, dude, it's not like that. Like, it's really not it. But it's a more approachable thing. And that's what I love about witchcraft, is I feel like it is so approachable. I don't feel like we should be limited. I don't think communication should limit whatever it is that we want to do. So I use for that one my Vietnamese birthday, but my American birthday is different by a month and a year. So I have two different charts. I have two different soul cards. So I have two different life path numbers. Everything that everyone has, I have two sets. Because I know myself, and like, it's that chariot where I'm like, let's go full force. Like, let's get married tomorrow. And so, and also like, I am an overbearing personality. I can push because I like to be motivated and whatever. And sometimes I can roll people over on accident. So I always try and like catch myself before I do that, or I try and back off. I will say that in my entire life, there has been absolutely no person who has inspired me to keep going like Forrest Gump has. When you think about it, it's like your soul is put into a body every single time that you live a life or whatever. When you're a little baby, you're fresh out the cosmos, like you're fresh out of space. So you remember things from your first life, even if your body doesn't, like your soul remembers it. The more you get into this life, the more things are replaced or things are kind of put, you know, like in the back of the mind to be forgotten. It's really funny when people are like, oh, I don't know anything about my past life. And I'm like, you do, you just don't know that you know it. It's there. It's like riding a bike. You just have to realize that it's there. I remember towards the end of like my senior year, I was so depressed that I was like drinking at school. My escapism isn't just like substances though. Like, it does really translate sometimes to running. Like, I ran away when I was little because I didn't know how to cope with my depression and my anxiety. And the way that I was raised, we didn't talk about mental health. It wasn't something that was important or acknowledged even. It was like a pray it away type of thing. Whenever I got to a point where I was in control, I was never given the tools to be in control responsibly, because someone else was always in control. It was always like my mom being like, this is what you are and aren't going to do and whatever. So when I was left to my own devices, it was awful. It was so dumb and it was so bad. So it wasn't necessarily that I was addicted to the substance or like the way it made me feel bodily, but it was more like the life that I felt like I was living, you know, like that person that I thought that I was, who I thought was so interesting and so fun and so cool. You know, the universe sends you signs when you're supposed to stop doing things. And then if you don't stop doing it, the signs are worse and worse and the consequences are worse and worse. That kept happening to me. I don't ever go a day where I don't remember that I did that. I don't ever go a day where like, sometimes even I'll look at like a bottle of wine and I'm like, do I want that? Or do I am I bored? Am I trying to not deal with my problems? Or am I actually like fine and can I like have a glass of wine? For me, drugs are hard. For other people, it might not be drugs. It might be food. But the way that it holds you in your life is exactly the same. And it was also kind of the fear of my own gifts and like my own things. Like, especially for such a long time, I knew I could talk to dead people and I would tell people like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do that. When I started doing healings and when I started connecting people to their dead relatives and even people or gods and guides that they didn't know, that was just, to me, more emotionally and energetically impactful.